Another interesting stat, 49% of the global road deaths are pedestrians, cyclists, motorists. Very much applies in South Africa too. Why is that?
In South Africa, we constantly, ever since we started with the arrival of website in 2003, we referred to about 35% to 45%, 55% to 40% pedestrian fatality rate. It's a little bit less than the average in Africa, but it shows the importance of looking into methods and means to address pedestrian safety. Either through, we only do one part, education, but then definitely engineering as well, to try and split this vulnerable road user group from fast-moving vehicles, to have pedestrian bridges in place, through engineering. And also, I think we're lacking at the moment a little bit on the enforcement side to keep these pedestrians off our roads. Perhaps something, Nick, which we must also emphasize is that we cannot deny the impact that crime has on our roads and on even our pedestrians. If we look at the pedestrian bridges, for instance, the pedestrians tell us that they are often afraid if they cross over a pedestrian bridge, what is waiting on the other side. Pedestrians will tell us in the surveys that they walk rather on the road or on the side of the road instead of away from the road because it is well lit, and they're afraid of criminals lurking in the dark. And recently we also addressed that on the Wheels 24 website, the impact that crime has on road safety.
Johan, mentioning Africa, you have the highest chance of dying on African roads as opposed to in Europe, which has one of the lowest. So Africa had the highest, followed by the Middle East. Why is that?
It has to do, if we look at globally, we can see that about 90% of road deaths occur in the low and middle income groups, whereas 82% of vehicles are actually in the higher income groups. But we still find that the death rate is disproportional to where actually the highest amount of vehicles are. So we can see from that in Africa we have a lot of pedestrians, we have a lot of cyclists, and we are starting to get a lot more motorcyclists. So I think the 49% pedestrian fatality rate is a good, plays into that.
Figure. Okay, and not necessarily roadworthy vehicles, education around road safety.
The Global Status Report tells us that there needs to be more measurement or more implementation on the vehicle safety side as well. But I think in the lower middle income countries we will have a lot more non-roadworthy vehicles because the people don't have that much of our income. They're less likely to replace their vehicles with new vehicles with the latest in safety equipments, the best of stability control in the vehicles and stuff. But I still think one of our biggest problems are enforcement. We have a lot of good vehicles, but a seatbelt is only as good as whether you wear the seatbelt or not. We often, when we drive, we see somebody put the seatbelt, clicking the seatbelt because he's finding it irritating, the noise that it makes if you don't wear your seatbelt. So the seatbelt is behind the person, or we find people not wearing it correctly. So it doesn't help if we have got the safest vehicles, but we don't use the technology that is available there.